Hi there, this is Dr. Anna Maria Helt, herbalist and microbiologist here with Osada Natural Health. And this week, our herb of the week is Cleavers, or Galium. The species that is used medicinally is Galium aparine, Galium aparine. So that's two different words there. It's a really cute little plant that likes to grow in the shade in damp areas, so you'll often find it along shady brook sides. And it's called cleavers because it has these little hairs on the plant that when you break a piece of the plant off, you can stick it to somebody's shirt, put it on their back, and they'll keep walking down the trail without knowing that they've got a plant hanging on them. And so Galium has a lot of uses. It's known as an alterative herb, which Facebook spelling caption generation will call alternative. It's alterative, alterative. And what those are herbs that help facilitate waste metabolism and elimination from the body. In the case of Galium, it's doing this by promoting healthy lymphatic system function. It's also doing this by being a mild diuretic, so we're getting rid of wastes via the kidneys, via the urinary system. And Galium is a really lovely cooling herb. It's one that you only really want to use in its fresh form. You will find dry forms of Galium available commercially, but it's other than having some nutritional content to it, that's not going to be really the medicinally active form of the herb. So the way I use it is either as a fresh plant tincture or liquid extract, or as a juice. And so you can actually make a juice of the plant and either preserve that juice with alcohol. You need a final concentration of 20% ethanol. So you got to do some math. If you want to preserve your Galium juice, a way you would do that, for instance, is mixing it 1-to-1 with brandy, but that's a big dilution. You're really cutting down on the amount of Galium or cleavers with respect to the alcohol. Now you're drinking half brandy. If you have stronger alcohol at home, you can use less of that alcohol to preserve because there'll be a lot of ethanol in it. So, all right, I'm going to drag you through the math. If you have essentially absolute alcohol, so for instance, I make tinctures using almost pure cane alcohol. It's like 97% ethanol, which is the alcohol that we use for drinking and for tincture making. So if you've got, let's just call it 100%, because 97% is hard to do math with, and you need 20% to preserve your juice, you would do 1-to-5. 1 part pure alcohol and 4 parts of your juice. And now it's not so dilute, your Cleavers juice. But honestly, the easiest way to deal with it is to just make a tincture out of it. And you can go to basmati.com and look up some articles on tincture making and find out how to do that. So again, lymphatic effects in the urinary system. Cleavers is used to support a detox. I hate to use the word detox because it's kind of overused and often misunderstood. When I say detox, I mean supporting the body's organs of metabolism and elimination. So it's not like these plants are going into your kidneys and scrubbing them out, or going into your lymphatic system and scrubbing them out. Herbs that are used for detox, which generally are alterative herbs, help our organs of metabolism and elimination work better. So Cleavers is used for detoxifying. If somebody's been eating a really crappy diet for a while, or maybe they've had to be on some meds for a while that they just went off of, and you want to help their body clear some of that stuff out, you can use an herb like Cleavers or Galium. And I know I'm jumping back and forth with the name. And also another long-term traditional use for this herb is support with swollen glands. And that is that lymphatic aspect of this herb. And so, if the glands in your neck are swollen or elsewhere after an infection, they're tender and swollen, you can use Cleavers as part of that. Traditionally, it's used to help break down hard lumps. And so another application of that would be things like cysts. So people that tend to have fibrocystic breasts, and ovarian cysts and things like that, Cleavers can be a great part of the formula that they're using to help support their body's own natural ability to deal with that kind of stuff. Now, going back to hard lumps and swollen glands and such, If you have a swollen gland, and it can show up in your armpit, it might show up in your neck, it might show up down in your abdomen, and it's not going away, then you want to go into the doctor and make sure there's not something more severe going on. That's pretty important. Really, when you have a hard lump anywhere that's not going away, you want to go get checked out. But regardless, this is one of the uses of cleavers or Galium. Swollen glands, cysts, and such to help support the body. I also turn to this herb, and well, many herbalists do. I certainly didn't invent this, but I like it for skin issues. So people that are having acne outbreaks or dermatitis or other rashes that are showing up. A lot of times, not always, but a lot of times stuff happening with the skin is reflecting what's going on inside of the body, especially with respect to liver and kidney function. And while it's all well and good to make a nice natural cream or ointment and such to work with that skin issue, that can be a great soothing way to go, but you also need to work internally. And so I will frequently use cleavers, Galium, in a formula to support skin health. So that is just, and it's just aside from that, it is quite nutritious. It's maybe not an herb you want to eat in a salad because, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's called cleavers because it has these little hairs that will make it stick, and it will also irritate your throat when you eat those little hairs. So it's not something like chickweed, for instance, that you might chop up and throw in your salad or smoothie because you're going to get those annoying hairs in it. But you could juice it, like I said, and use that in smoothies and such, or freeze that juice. I forgot to mention that. Another way you could preserve your cleavers juice is to freeze it in an ice cube tray, and then once they're frozen, put them in an airtight container in the freezer so that they don't pick up the stench of everything else that's been sitting in the freezer for a while. Maybe I'm sharing a little too much about my freezer. So that's another way to use your Galium and cleavers. And so there it is. Cleavers, Galium, aparine, related to sweet woodruff, another Galium species, but they have somewhat different uses. And so until next time, be well.